Let's see, James Wan. Yeah, The Conjuring and Insidious. He could do Tobit. Uh, I asked a Lutheran minister why the Book of Tobit was taken out of the Bible, and he said, uh, well, the Lutherans took it out of the Bible in 1923, and he said the reason why is because Luther didn't like it. And I said, why? And he said, because it has magic. And we're in the magic business. I mean, this is Hollywood, and we're in the magic business, industrial light and magic. And half the films have magic. Probably the ones at the top of the revenue charts have magic. So that's not a reason why not to make the Book of Tobit. Now, James Wan is a little bit on the magic side. So that, I can see that. That would be good. It would add a different take to Tobit. Tobit is in the Bible. 1.5 billion people know the story of Tobit, but obviously that's not everyone. Catholics, Orthodox Christians, it's in their Bibles, and they're taught this story from when they're little kids. Jews, a lot of times, the attentive public, Jews that paid attention in school, and no one knows history better than Israelis and Jews. They know their history. They know the name recognition might not be there, but they know there was a woman in the Old Testament. She was a nice Jewish girl from a good Jewish family. So none of this was brought on by anyone but a demon. The girl's name is Sarah, and she's married 7 times, and she's widowed 7 times. The marriages are never consummated. They never make it to the wedding bed. A demon named Asmodeus comes and kills the new husband. The groom's killed. Sometimes it's under the tent. Sometimes it's in the wedding hall. Sometimes it's walking to the parking lot. Sometimes it's when the groom's carrying the bride over the threshold. Sometimes it looks like an accident. Sometimes it looks like when a demon kills, it's not pretty. And so it's like they're experts at it or something. So there's a lot at stake. So I can see Mr. Wan getting involved. I market it to people 7 Jewish weddings and 7 demonic murders. And if that doesn't get his attention, I have no idea. I don't know what to do. He's probably less protected than most, but Hollywood, there's a whole industry in Hollywood designed to keep film scripts. Sometimes that includes good quality film scripts away from celebrities or from the more powerful filmmakers. He's top 10. I mean, and I honestly, I can't tell you who I write 100 query letters each for each project. So there's 100 query letters out there pitching Tobit. It's got a compelling female lead, Sarah. Hopefully she would be portrayed by a quality actress with a lot of gravitas. She's likable. She gets married 7 times and 7 husbands are killed, and she's still, not recklessly, but out of devotion and actually religious piousness, is willing to get married an 8th time, even though 7 husbands have been killed. I know that sounds weird, but it's not as hoaxy as you think. In the context of the Bible, all this is, she doesn't fall apart completely because of her faith. You'd think, well, after 7 dead husbands, she might lose her faith. But, the point of the whole story is that she goes through this ordeal and she doesn't lose her faith. But you can't call it Sarah's wedding or Sarah's 7 weddings or 7 Jewish weddings because of 1.5 billion Catholics, Orthodox Christians, and Jews that know this story, both in print and they're taught this story from when they're little kids. So Sarah is married 7 times, and a demon comes and kills the husband before the weddings are even consummated. Well, in my experience, the nuns leave the part out about the wedding being consummated. They just skip to the part about the demon killed the husband, and little kids remember that because of the demon. I mean, I'm sure, they're scared. They know what weddings are. They know what a widow is. They ask a few questions. Well, what's a widow? And they pick up on this pretty quick. So that's a huge audience. So you've got 1.5 billion people who've read the story, who've heard the story 20 times, and it's familiar, but it's never been made into a feature film. Not in 100 years. There was a silent film based on the Book of Tobit. Now remember, it's in a lot of Bibles, but it was removed from the Protestant Bible in the 1920s, and I asked a Irish Catholic priest in Dublin, well, what accounts for that? And he said, anti-Catholic bias in politics. He said, in America, when was it removed from the Protestant Bibles? So I don't know. He knew exactly. And he's talking to me in raw political terms. Of course, I've been a political scientist. I have a PhD in totalitarian government. And so he knew how to talk to me. Him being a political entity himself. He said 1923. That's 4 years after World War I. That's just long enough for the boys to get back home and the wound to be festered. And it was anti-German and it was anti-Catholic. But I've seen other historians say that. I don't think Tobit was removed necessarily for religious reasons. It has nothing to do with the doctrine or theology. It was political. They wanted to stick it in the eye of maybe the Pope or German Catholics, and that's just the way it was. My great-grandparents came from Switzerland. All 4 came from Switzerland, and they spoke German. That was their principal language. And I remember my great-grandmother, and they came in 1888, and she still had the German accent. And she was the only one of those 4 that I saw as a little kid. But they were aware of the anti-German feelings after World War I, during and after World War I. And they were rural and isolated, and they were in a community with a Lutheran and a Catholic church full of German immigrants. So, and maybe it wasn't so bad for them, but it's out there. And the Lutheran minister I spoke to, American, said it wasn't political at all, that it was removed from the Lutheran Bible because Luther wanted it gone. Now, Luther was in like 1500s, so I'm not sure that is the reason. And so I questioned him some more, and he said it has magic in it. Well, this is Hollywood, and we're in the magic business. Industrial light and magic. And half the movies have magic, and probably the more profitable movies are disproportionately full of magic. So I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, we're in the magic industry. Yes, it's primarily Catholic, but nowadays Protestants and Catholics are next door neighbors. If you look at the political spectrum, and I don't know what Mr. Wan is, the Catholic Church is growing. Mr. Wan could be Catholic. The Catholic cardinals and archbishops in China are very threatening to the communist government because the Catholic population is growing. So if you want to make inroads in China, this may be the film to do it. There's a huge thirst for knowledge, and the Chinese Communist government is on their heels as a result of it. Yes, the Cardinal Zen. Ironically, his last name is Zen. Cardinal Zen from Hong Kong is the leader, but other cardinals and bishops, powerful Catholics, are great leaders, and the Catholic Church in Asia is growing. That's not the reason why there's 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. 70% of them speak English. 70% of this 1.3 billion speak English. So subtitles always seem to take a little of the zest out of a film, but you're going to have a huge audience. And there's 289 million Orthodox Christians. Greek Orthodox, Ukrainian Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, all of Southeast Europe. The dominant religion is Orthodox Christianity. The Book of Tobit is in their canon too. So that's a huge market. You add 25 million Jews worldwide. It's a Jewish story. I know the Catholics teach it as little kids, and it's part of their Christian religious training. But Jews as well. It's a Jewish story. All the characters are Jewish. Yes, it's 3,000 years old. It's about 8 pages in the Bible. I set it in Amsterdam in the 1930s. I don't think people want to go back 3,000 years and watch an Old Testament story, men and women in robes in the desert. Jews from northern Israel were kidnapped and taken into slavery in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq, between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. And that's where the original story. Read the Bible. Read the Book of Tobit. It's short. It's 8 pages. That is a very old story. I put it in Amsterdam in the 1930s because of the Holocaust. The Nazis show up in Amsterdam in 1941, and they cart off the Jews, and it was especially horrific because there's a lot of hatred between the Germans and the Dutch, even though there were a lot of collaborators, but there was a lot of resistance, and it was Jewish resistance. I don't want to disparage the other Jewish nationalities who were involved in the Holocaust, but the Dutch Jews did not go peacefully. There was a lot of resistance, and so there was a lot of brutality. So from the very first frame, the audience should be thinking, an 80-year-old man in the 30s, and everybody knows the Nazis are on their way. And Tobit is going to be the father-in-law of Sarah. Sarah is the woman being preyed upon by the demon. And a lot of the action is a result of Tobit. He's the protagonist, but he's 80 years old and a Jew. What's going to happen to him? That's what I want the audience to wonder. If you've read the Book of Tobit, you know he dies. We don't live forever, buddy. Forever. And it's pretty clear he's 80 years old. I mean, that's the whole story. He's a pious man. He's charitable. He takes care of strangers. He takes care of his own family. And that's what it's about. It's a family story. There's 7 weddings, 7 Jewish weddings, and 7 demonic murders. Sarah is the bride, and Toby, which is Tobit's son, is going to be the groom. And it's not boring. 7 weddings and 7 demonic murders. And there's a huge fight between an angel and a demon at the end. Both Tobit and Sarah pray for some kind of resolution, and God sends Raphael. Now, let's see. Who could play Raphael? Matt Damon. Someone from the action genre. Because Raphael's going to kill Asmodeus, roll him up in a ball of rope like a ball of yarn, and roll him into the Thames. And so that's no big surprise. It's in print, and it's in my script. And I had an interview with someone from a different streaming platform, and I said, read the Book of Tobit from the Bible, and email me. I'll send you the script. And I had a guy who just really wanted to talk to me on Zoom, and he said, "Don't send that to everybody. Are you crazy?" I said, "Why? Oh, I got to get it out there. How will they ever know that there's a script available?" He said, "They'll steal it." And I said, "Dude, the story is 3,000 years old. It's in 1.5 billion people's religious training. It's in that number. It's in that many Bibles and religious texts. There's animations and short films, not high quality. There's no production value, but they're short films designed to go along with a Sunday school lesson. But there's never been a feature film. It was been 100 years since they put this on film, and the only film I'm aware of was a silent in the 1920s. So would Mr. Wan be interested? Yeah, the magic, the demon, he would have to adapt some pious characters. And I don't know what his religious background is, but to me, it doesn't really matter whether he's Christian or Buddhist or Jewish or Catholic. It really doesn't matter. I think films should be made on the basis of expectations. 1.5 billion people see it in print, but they've never seen it on celluloid or these days digital. They expect to see it. I I know you're saying, well, people don't read a text and see it as a film. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And I think they're disappointed in Hollywood. You've got all these people that would buy tickets, and they're waiting for someone like Mr. Wan to step up and make a book into, a high quality film with some kind of redeeming value. Sarah's a good Jewish woman haunted by a demon. Tobit is an 80-year-old man that wants to do the best thing for his family, including finding a wife for his son. And so he will take on the demon and be a little obstinate. But mostly Tobit is good for his likability. Mr. Wan can take care of that. I know he can take care of the demon side, the villainy, the suspense, and the conflict. He can do the demonic murders. This would be interesting. This just now occurred to me. What about dual directors? Someone to do the 7 weddings. I don't know who. Somebody maybe a little light on their humor, and leave the dark scenes to Mr. Wan. He can do the demons. Proven. No, Insidious, The Conjuring, other films. There's a little bit of that in Tobit. Actually, a lot. Seven murders in a film. Is that above average or below average? Or if some film critic would email me, I'd certainly answer. 7 demonic murders in a movie. Is that too much? There's a book in the Bible with it. So I'll leave that to Mr. Wan. I'm a little concerned about the moat. I have no idea if he'll ever see it. I need to check and make sure that his people had a query letter. They at least had a chance. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. He's top 10 in Hollywood, and so he gets a lot of scripts. Hopefully, maybe he'll read this one.